So we're here today, we're gonna have a conversation about music and faith and how they intersect. I thought like now would be a good time to just introduce who we are, what we do, and before we have the conversations. So I'm Namesbliss, I'm from North West London, and I'm an artist.
Hey, I'm Miss Banks, and I'm from South London.
Yo, I'm D-E-E, and I'm from East London.
What's going on, guys? I'm Cristale, and I'm an artist from South London.
And I'm Imrhan. I'm an artist and I'm from Birmingham.
The question that I want to ask is, when you look at faith and some of the teachings of faith, in terms of, let's say, even a Christian perspective of peace, how do we reconcile that with the culture we are from, which is competition, and even when you push it further, war and actual beef in that sort of way, whether it be lyrically, etc. And I want to pose that question first to you, Double. How do you reconcile faith teachings in terms of peace and being a person of peace with the reality of what it is when you're MCing and what it is as an MC to stand and be able to fight for your place in the scene?
I think it's more of a sport, how it feels for me from what I come to. So that turning a cheek thing is always involved more time in the sport of the real sport of clashing. It's not that regular that two artists do stuff to each other and beat each other up. It always ends up being the sport in the end, you know? I've never really clashed or felt that I'm in this thing where I need to do better than someone else. I always, when I'm on stage and I do my thing, I'm always just trying to do the best for myself. Yeah. That's how I kind of imagine it. But I did have a few MCs back in the day that when they used to go on the set back to back, they used to be thinking about trying to do better than other guys and murk and all that stuff. But that wasn't my mind frame. There's been a few little, I don't know, people just trying to test their thing, like, yeah, you're in money right now, you know. They're telling me I'm in money, and I know that I'm in money. But,
Like, yeah,
it's just, it used to happen to go to next ends as well. So I will go into Brixton Mass, and I'm doing a show there. There's been situations that's happened, and it's just a part of the journey, basically. Nothing's ever too smooth, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta, even though no matter you come with peace, there might not be peace in front of you. You get me? And it's like, you gotta respect and get relationships there. And now you can go link your boys from Brum before the thing, get there, you know, and you get that, then you can start to feel at ease. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be going to different countries and trying to do your thing, because you'll quickly find out it's not your end.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right.
If I think about like personal experience, like for me, I knew that when I came into the game in terms of just MCing and going on radio, it was hostile, but because I had my two older brothers, it was hostile with a lowercase h. Do you understand? The biggest thing.
You're funny, I swear.
Yeah, no, it's words, did it? But you know what it is the thing where it's hostile with lowercase h in the sense that I would go there and it will be, they don't know who I am. So there's animosity in the room because they don't know who I am.
Right.
But I understood that they're not gonna do me anything. They just, all they're doing is showing, we don't know who this guy is. Right. We're smoking up in the corner, whatever, they're looking at him like, what's he gonna do? And this was like 2015 times. This was like Mode FM, early, like Radar Radio days back then. You go there, they don't know who you are, there's animosity. Right. But I knew in my mind that the artists that I listened to when I was younger, it wasn't just animosity in the room. Someone's getting racked. This is a different level of what could be happening. So I was able to like take that on my stride and think, okay, what's this? And from performing and doing what I do, then the respect will come from that. You understand?
Man, I had to pre what stuff was in my day.
Yeah.
You'd have to pre it, because, definitely a big H.
In terms of like faith, belief, even like teachings in the Bible, Christian peace, etc., reconciling that to then, I've got to be the guy. I've got to go there and I've got to show the level I'm at. How do you reconcile those two things?
When you say reconcile, you talking about like, how do you like which one are you more or less lean into kind of thing?
Yeah,
Is that what
fully
you
in the
mean?
sense like, okay, let's say people sometimes, in my opinion, they take it out of context when they say turn the other cheek. For me, it doesn't mean be a waste man, but separately, people...
That's what I kind of gathered from it.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't mean...
what do you think?
I'd not be a waste man, but a pushover, innit? Like when do you stand on 10 toes? Because I feel like you could be nice until you're not. But I used to feel like basically I had to just be the bigger man in every situation. And I didn't want to get defensive because sometimes I feel like if people are saying things and even if it's not true, if you get defensive, it validates accusations. You get me? What people are saying, especially if they're trying to get at you. But I realise sometimes you do have to draw the line in the sand and say, this is disrespectful. And there's going to be consequences if you keep pushing that. It's just choosing that, I guess. So I used to feel like turning the other cheek was a bit, like you never stand on 10 toes, but I guess you can turn the other cheek and still have boundaries, I guess.
Yeah, nah.
How do you reconcile turning the other cheek? So Christian teaching of being a peacemaker
I don't wanna go
with the whole thing of fighting for your place in the game. Even if it's not like clashing and just like fighting for your place and being assertive.
I don't think like turning the other cheek means that you can't confront the person kind of thing. Because obviously turning the other cheek, people take it literally as that you just turn and look that way. But that's not what it says. Obviously it says if somebody like hits you, then you turn them the other cheek and hand them the other cheek. So you're saying you might as well hit the other one because I'm not gonna do anything. Kind of that's basically what it is. But like I don't think that means obviously quote unquote just stand there and be a waste man. You can speak. It's your right to actually speak. I think that's where like people like misunderstand like scripture and the Bible, or people misteach it as well at the same time. Because when I read it, I was thinking, this doesn't mean for me to just walk away and be like, oh, it's fine. I can say I didn't like that. In fact, it's even appointed to people in the Bible as Christians to, if you have an oath with your brother, lay your gift at the altar and go and talk to your brother and reconcile it and sort it out. So it doesn't actually tell you turn the other cheek and just walk away from the situation. It actually tells you to speak. Now, once you've spoke and you've said your piece, like at this point, it's like, it's up to them. And I think at that point, that's where like God kind of gets involved kind of thing. Because I've had situations where I could have responded in a very, very, very dark way. Because where I'm coming from, I'm not coming from a place where it's like, oh, there's not much conversation before anything actually happens.
Yeah,
There's not really a time period to say, oh, yo, bro, I didn't like that. What? There's no time. And that's where I'm coming from. And seeing certain situations, bear in mind that there was a time when I got robbed in it, basically, and my mentality was, it's get back time. What do you mean? We have to get them back. What do you mean? There's no other option. And as I was sitting there and then seeing the seriousness of like my cousins coming and them and what they had, I'm thinking, yo, I'm bringing other people into my beef. This has gone just because I want to retaliate. Like it's gone a bit far now. Like I'm seeing weapons in the car. I'm thinking people on there. I'm thinking, wow, like this has gone a bit far. I just want my chain back. Do you get? And it was a dumb chain. It was nothing. And at the end, I was like, you know what, guys, leave it. It's literally 3 bills for the chain. Leave it. And when I look back on that, it made me realize like kind of what turn the other cheek was. Like, it's not a sense of like, that person, I'm never gonna have that conversation with you to say, I didn't like that. But someone was send on the message, I didn't like that. But keep it, it's calm, it's whatever. And I feel like a lot of times us coming away from actually retaliating, like let's say it's a fist fight, someone approaching that way, you walking away is more bossy than you actually responding. Do you get what I'm saying? And in that space, some people might say, oh, you're a waste man, you didn't do nothing, you're not on nothing. But I'm like, who gets to choose who's on and who's not? Do you get what I'm saying?
I think it depends on the, I think it definitely depends on the context though. Because I think
100%.
for me, I would say, looking at it, like that teaching even of turn the other cheek is a wider context to that.
100.
Because I look at it and I'm like, okay, the Pharisees would say something to Christ, and he, like, historical context, he wasn't exactly at the highest point in culture back then, but he would call them a brood of snakes to their face, which takes a level of courage. So I even think, even when I'm, like me, when I look at like faith and trying to embody my faith within the industry and as a businessman and these things, sometimes I think, what would Jesus do? Not purely in the sense of it means I need to be meek, it means I need to be humble, but also means I need to be brave, I need to be courageous, I need to have the power and strength to defend what is important and what matters. Because I actually think what happens with faith sometimes is people who are people who are cowards spiritualize their cowardice. So then what happens? It becomes I'm passive, and I'm probably not going to do anything to confront anyone anyway, and I'm going to spiritualize it and say that's the more holier thing to do.
Do you know
I
what?
don't think you're doing that, by the way.
No,
but
no,
I think that's something that's done, and unfortunately, I think like even faith has a bad rap because of it. Because then it's like, if we're moving with a level of assertiveness, it's almost like, nah, you're meant to be a doormat. You're a Christian. You're a Christian.
But that's the thing. And that's the thing where I'm like, I don't agree with you just letting things and letting anything slide, because
Christians are from war.
100%. And that's the thing. And the thing is, being a coward,
it's in you.
Yeah. Being a coward in the Bible, in fact, is actually
bad.
When it lists in the Revelation the type of people that are going to rest in fire for the eternal life.
It says
Cowards.
cowards
It
too.
says
It says cowards?
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
cowards.
So then at that point, it's like, you can't like, she said, oh, nice, I love that.
And look what they said. Look what they said they wanted happen to them, to burn.
Yeah.
Is that not war? Do you want to burn one of your enemies?
Nah, that's not.
Right, but this is what it said there. Yeah, all the cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frowned upon.
But you're gonna see them burn, unless it's just a wish, just in a different way, not literally, basically, like karma. You know, if it's karma, don't worry, they will burn on a karma one.
Obviously, as a believer, I believe in heaven and I believe in hell at the end of the day.
Okay,
and I think, crazy enough, to answer that, this is probably going off in a tangent. I had a dream where I was talking to God in the dream, I was on a car park, like them storied car parks. I was on the top floor talking to him, second floor talking to him, third floor I'm thinking, yo, you've been with me for this long, let me see what it's like without you. I went to the next thing. I woke up here for about 2 minutes. I'm staring at the wall, crying. I couldn't make a sound. My wife's like, you okay, you okay? I couldn't move. And that's when I felt like I was burning in that dream, not having a connection with God.
Oh, wow.
And that for me was hell. That's when I was like, hell's what? I would have preferred burning with fire, at least have company with the flame.
Yeah.
But having like God not being there, and me asking, let me see what it's like without you. Jeez, never again. That changed my whole entire perspective on everything. And again, before then, I probably would have responded like a bit differently. But when I realized that me coming out of character, people being able to trick me out of my position just because of I'm angry and how I feel, me not being able to die to my flesh is me also being weak, not actually strong. Do you get what I'm saying? So then I was like, bro, like, it makes more sense now. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even though like we're gonna get tested all the time, I got tested at the train station when I went to, did you hear what I was saying to these?
No.
I was in the train station, and I went to go get some headphones, I forgot mine. Because let me get some headphones so I can just listen to some music or something. And I was like, I said to the lady, excuse me, can I have these headphones? She was like, I need to get the key.
My attitude for no reason.
I know you need to get the key, that's what I'm asking you to. I might have figured it right, like, okay. And then she took up the headphone and she walked to me. You're not picking it. Imagine if I wanted to get juice. She walked the headphones over to the counter. She scanned it and stood there and said, hey, are you gonna pay now, aren't you? I said, wow. I said, let me get a chewing gum. I got my chewing gum, and I just scanned my thing. In my head, I was thinking, I could respond in a very different way.
Yeah.
But at the time, through wisdom, I was like, you're not actually worth my time. Let me take my stuff. I just want my headphones.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And a lot of it is to do with wisdom, like how you handle stuff as well. Do you know what I mean?